Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. The Pentagon ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers to be ready for a possible deployment to Minnesota amid unrest tied to federal immigration enforcement. Officials said the troops could move quickly if the president authorizes them. Thousands gathered in San Antonio for what organizers call the nation's largest MLK March in celebration. Olympic gold medalist Gabby Douglas headlined the event, followed by music and community programming downtown. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered her first address to a joint session of the General Assembly, pressing lawmakers to focus on affordability and public safety. She also outlined early priorities for schools, jobs, and state government reforms. Federal agencies scaled back or paused Martin Luther King Jr. Day programming as the Trump administration pushed new limits on DEI efforts. The National Park Service also ended free admission for MLK Day, shifting fee-free days to other dates. Adam Spanberger became Virginia's first gentleman after Gov. Abigail Spanberger's inauguration. He said he plans to focus on child nutrition, early education, and support for public schools across the state. Protesters interrupted a Sunday service at City's Church in St. Paul, demanding answers about ICE raids and a recent fatal shooting tied to an operation in Minnesota. The Justice Department opened an investigation into whether the disruption violated federal law. 3 U.S. Catholic cardinals urged the Trump administration to apply a moral compass in foreign policy, warning against coercive power and broader suffering. They criticized military escalation and said diplomacy and aid should lead U.S. strategy. An Indiana judge and his wife were shot inside their Lafayette home, and both were hospitalized in stable condition, police said. Authorities launched a multi-agency manhunt, but no suspect or motive has been announced. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. New details from Kamala Harris's 2024 vice presidential vetting show aides asked Minnesota Governor Tim Walz if he had ever been an agent for China. Walz denied any ties. Organizers announced a nationwide Free America walkout this week, calling for demonstrations against ICE operations and what they describe as U.S. militarization. Events are planned in all 50 states. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy signed a law requiring licenses for riding all types of e-bikes statewide. The measure adds new safety rules after a string of serious crashes. Canada will allow a quota of Chinese-made electric vehicles to enter at reduced tariffs, reversing its 2024 100% duty. Tesla could benefit quickly by shipping Model Y vehicles from its Shanghai plant. The Trump administration appealed a federal judge's order that bars immigration agents in Minneapolis from using force or arresting peaceful protesters and bystanders. The case follows the fatal shooting of Renee Good. Faith groups, unions, and local businesses in Minnesota called for a Friday strike and economic blackout to protest ICE operations. Organizers urged people to stay home, avoid shopping, and skip work. Former Rep. Mickey Sherrill will be sworn in Tuesday as New Jersey's next governor after running on affordability. She said her first agenda will target utility bills, housing costs, and taxes. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said the administration would move fast to impose new tariffs if the Supreme Court strikes down Trump's sweeping levies under an emergency law. Officials cited alternative authorities. Here's what happened across the U.S. in the past hour, all in 60 seconds. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has brought in attorneys with close ties to the plaintiff's tort bar, according to newly reviewed records. Critics say it raises conflict concerns as the department faces major litigation. A federal judge declined to block a DHS policy requiring members of Congress to give advance notice before visiting immigration detention sites. Democratic lawmakers argue the rule limits oversight during expanded enforcement. Mickey Sherrill will be sworn in as New Jersey's next governor in Newark after defeating Phil Murphy's successor bid. She says her first moves will target affordability, including steps to slow utility rate hikes. Federal agencies scaled back Martin Luther King Jr. Day observances after the Trump administration's DEI crackdown, according to internal directives. Some national parks also dropped free MLK Day entry this year. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said the Trump administration would replace broad tariffs immediately if the Supreme Court strikes them down. He told the New York Times new levies could start the next day. Protesters disrupted a Sunday church service in Minneapolis led by a local ICE official as federal raids continued. Police removed several people from the sanctuary, and organizers said more demonstrations are planned in coming days. Organizers behind the Free America walkout called for people to leave work and school on John 20 in protests tied to immigration raids and federal deployments. Events were planned across all 50 states and beyond. An Indiana judge and his wife were found shot to death at their home, and state police launched a homicide investigation. Authorities said they were searching for a suspect while working to determine a motive. Several top U.S. Catholic cardinals warned that American foreign policy is losing its moral compass under the Trump administration. They urged stronger protections for migrants and civilians as Washington expands hardline enforcement. Canada agreed to let up to 49,000 China-made vehicles enter each year with a 6.1% tariff, replacing a 100% duty. Analysts say Tesla could quickly resume exports from its Shanghai plant to Canada.